So now that we've got those pieces in, let's go and add a few more things. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and close the wings piece so that I can save some processing power. All right, and then what we're going to do now is we're going to move in some of these birds that we're going to use. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to File and Open. I'm going to grab these birds. I'm going to click Open. We are going to drag. I'm not even going to mask these. I'm going to show you a trick. I'm going to grab this entire background, move this over, and I'm going to zoom out. So Control minus a couple times. And I'm going to hold down the Shift key to keep them proportional. I'm going to shrink them down. Press Control 0 to zoom in. I'm going to rotate these because I want the birds to kind of fly in the distance. So I'm going to shrink them down again. I'm just zoomed out, Control minus. I'm going to hold down the Shift key. Shrink those guys in just a little bit. And we'll come back and we'll play around with masking and adjusting the size exactly. But one of the things is here, even though the birds are black, one of the things that I don't like with this is it will be a little bit harder to clean up those edges and get them perfect. And I'm going to show you, if you've got something that has pretty much a dark color and a light background, there is a way to use what are known as blending modes to be able to have it automatically mask things. So I'm going to move this up above the man, and I'm going to come over here where it says normal. What I'm going to do right here is if I choose multiply, it's going to take the dark pixels and make them darker and the light ones and make them lighter. You can't really get much lighter than white, so it's going to make it completely disappear, which is a really fast way to be able to get rid of a white background is by setting it to multiply, and that will allow you to get rid of that. We'll play around with making all of this stuff look a little bit more natural. Even though we are going to make a drawn effect that's not supernatural, we will be working with that. So that'll be the first thing. So let's go ahead and double click here. I don't want to call it wings. I want to call it birds. There we go. Those are some birds. All right. Another thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to add in some clouds. So let's go ahead and go to File and Open. I'm going to grab these clouds. Now, these clouds are really big. So again, this is going to take a minute. I'm going to copy all of them by dragging and dropping into the New York Angel composite that we're starting to build. So it's taking a little bit of time. Mine's getting kind of laggy again. I'm going to close out of the birds. There we go. And I'm going to close out of the clouds. So now the clouds are here. I'm going to zoom out, Control minus a couple times. I'm going to hold down the Shift key. I'm going to move these clouds up a little bit and kind of move this up to where I can kind of see like the main part of the building, something like that. Yeah, somewhere out there, so that you've only got about a quarter of the image underneath. And I'm going to click OK. Now with this, we can also try the multiply effect. And just that right there is going to start to blend the stuff together. We'll play around with this more. But if you want to look at some of these other layer blending modes, it's going to depend on the photo. And we'll get more into this later on. But I'm pressing the down arrow, just moving through those blending modes. This is one of the coolest things with using a photo manipulation program that has layers. So besides the fact that we can actually mask things, meaning you've hidden things, but you've never permanently erased them. But with this, it's letting the power of the program decide how are the pixels on one layer blending in with the pixels on layers below. So sometimes the coolest thing is just to experiment and see what you like. Like that's actually working pretty cool. I kind of like the effect of that cloud running across here. Now, I don't like what it's doing to the guy. So I'm going to show you a trick on how to make a selection that's a little more complicated. I want to select the guy and I want to select the wings, but I want to hide that portion on the background layer. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to the man. And I'm going to press the control key and click on the mask. And look what it just did. It highlighted the outline of the guy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the shift key. Nope, that's not going to do it. Let me try. There we go. So I got control to get the man, control to get the wings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to control click to get the man. I'm going to come up here on the background. I'm going to turn this back to normal for a minute so you can see what's happening. And now I'm going to hit the mask button. So now this didn't do exactly what you would have expected it to do. See, it put the mask on the inside, but I really want to mask the outside. So over here, I'm going to press Control I. So I'm selecting the mask, Control I. Now it's in the background. So similar to what we did in a previous tutorial about removing the background, that's a fast way to make the selection. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to also go in, I'm going to press Control, and I'm going to come to the wings layer, and I'm going to click on the mask while I'm having Control. And now I'm going to go onto the background, this top layer. I got to rename this. Let's rename that now. I'm going to call it background because I'm looking at it. Let's rename it clouds. So the idea is if you press Control on a mask, it loads everything that's on that mask. So what that allows me to do is I can grab the complicated mask that you made for the wings. I can now go to the clouds layer. I can take the brush, and if I make sure that the color on the top is black, I can make my brush bigger by clicking on the right bracket. And I can bring those wings back. So what's happened, Control D to deselect, is I now have the clouds showing up. Even though it's on the top layer, it makes it look like the guy and the wings are above the clouds. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to change this blending mode. And for now, I'm going to go ahead and just change that here. Let's scroll up. A darker color for now. I don't like what it's doing down here, but we'll come back later and I'll show you ways to clean that up.